Hey you guys, I thought I would make you a quick video here about the course, just as a quick overview. My name is Kristen Rowan. I'm your facilitator for this course, so if you have questions, I will be the one answering. I first want to look at the course homepage, which is the main page you will encounter. On there are contents, announcements, updates, and external links. Announcements you want to be checking every day, and go into the announcements tool so you can view old announcements if they've dropped off your page. You want to look at the updates for any discussion posts that have been assigned or posted, and any of these external links are for you to use throughout the course. The next part I want to look at is content. In content, you will find all of the content of the course. The content of the course is organized by module. So if you go to the Start Here module, you'll find some interesting and vital things that you probably want to look at. That's a little video. And there are the modules in content that are labeled on the left side, Start Here, Syllabus, modules 1 through 5 that have all of the content that you will be going through and learning. There is also a schedule in there. I wanted to point out the schedule quickly to make sure that you see it and know what it means. When you look at the schedule, you will see dates that are due dates. You will see all the different assignments that you should be working through to finish the course. Each part of the course, I have it labeled as reading parts. You will read, you go through here and you see when it says read, that's when you're going to want to go read the textbook. You want to post. When I have that word post, that means post to a discussion. If I had the word submit, that means to submit to an online assignment folder. If I have complete, that might think like a reading quiz or a module quiz. And then there's also watch. So those are like action words. Your textbook is included with the course, and it's the OpenStax textbook. It can be accessed through content in each one of your modules through the read view area, and then it is a link to the chapters. And there's 2 chapters in module 1. There are also videos and what's called explorations. These explorations are just that, little tabbed explorations that take you through a certain part of the content. You can work through them with a pen and paper and see how what it's trying to show you. Exploration 1 and 2 is heavy on dimensional analysis and kind of algebraic treatments of different subjects that we use throughout the course, and algebra in general and how it's used in chemistry or really any science. This is a screenshot of what your OpenStax, if you went to the online portion, if you go to online OpenStax and you go to subjects, you can find your textbook. Your textbook is the Chemistry Atoms First textbook. Then you can click on that and it will take you into the content. The content is on the left, table of contents, and then you can click into there and go throughout the different subject material of each chapter. There are also example problems within the chapter. It works those examples for you and then also gives you some examples and practice problems of which the answers are provided. The assignments within this course are called assignment folders. That's where you turn in your assignments. The due dates are shown in there, and Turnitin is enabled for each one of those assignment folders, and then the content that you submit there will be checked for plagiarism by Turnitin. This is what it would look like. You have your assignment folder area. You'll see that it's separated by module, the different assignments, as well as the due dates that go along with those assignments. You can notice that this means Turnitin is enabled. This means it's attached to a grade item within the course. The exam, this one I want to point out because sometimes we have trouble finding that, is that this is the exam work. Sometimes we have essay questions that are assigned within a quiz, and you can show your work and upload within 30 minutes of completing the exam your work for certain problems, because it's hard sometimes to type it into the little boxes. Turnitin is a plagiarism checker, and it checks internet sources and assignments and all assignments that have ever been submitted to CCC Online. It looks something like this. When you have submitted something, you will see a Turnitin similarity here, and if you as a student click on that, it can show you what looks similar to other things. If this is greater than 50%, I have to look at that and go through and look at other documents or internet sources that may look like you have plagiarized that specific assignment. You'll notice that feedback, when I publish it, you can read the feedback. This person down here did not read the feedback yet, and that's why you notice that is not listed for that student. In the assignment feedback, I put comments in there for you, so you can, once you submit something and I grade it, you will notice that there is a feedback area, and if you click on that, you can go and read the feedback. I submitted a little pretend document here to this one, and then I gave myself feedback. And when you see feedback, it will show as a rubric, and that rubric will have different areas to it, and you'll see what your score was in that area and what you might need to improve upon. You'll also notice within feedback that you can check this Turnitin similarity, and if you click on this, you can go to Turnitin feedback as well. You'll notice this is a little screenshot of what Turnitin looks like, and there's instructor feedback that can be accessed through this little bubble. And if I give you feedback, you would find it in here. That means I'm giving you feedback or comments or help or links that might help you understand a subject material within Turnitin document. That is different than the general feedback that you see within D2L. This course has HOL Labs as its lab component. That stands for Hands-On Labs, and that is a company that distributes the lab kits and the lab manual to go with it, and you access that through their site, and there's a link out from D2L. When you go to their site, there's what's called an exploration of a certain lab or experiment that you're doing. It explores the content. Then there's an experimentation part, or they call it exercise, where you read the lab procedures, you perform the lab experiments in your home, and then you take any necessary photos. There's another list of photos required in D2L, and then use the tables provided in D2L to collect your data and submit a document. When you go to HOL Labs, it will look like this for each experiment, and you will have an exploration where you go through and they ask you questions and you learn about what you're doing. Then this is the experimental portion. They call it exercise. And then this evaluation portion is questions about the experiment. Again, see what you learned, see how you did. You will then download this information into a PDF that you will, when I say this information, I'm talking about the exploration and the evaluation, not the data portion. This is like the procedures that you will follow. You will collect all your data separately in a notebook, preferably, or in a Word that you will then transfer to a Word document in tables. I wanted to point out that within D2L content, this is where you access the HOL content for each experiment. So this link right here is called Tables and Exercises, and that will be there for every experiment. This external learning tool will take you to HOL for that experiment, where you can access the exploration, exercise, and evaluation portions of the experiment. And then this is a Dropbox, or not a Dropbox, an assignment folder that you can upload your work for that experiment. Discussions are another portion of the course where all the fun can happen. It can happen, but the goal for this is for you to do an assignment. That you post an online assignment into a discussion board, and then other students can review it and I can review it. And then we can talk about it and we can see what problems you were having for that content. Like in our first discussion is about dimensional analysis, and everybody is doing some dimensional analysis on a piece of thin metal foil to determine the height of a piece of foil, which or thickness, which is kind of hard to do measuring directly. So that discussion online assignment was really to help you understand how to use dimensional analysis to find the height of a piece of foil, which can't be measured directly. So in those discussions, you can access those discussions through a couple of places. If you go here in your course, you can see discussions are up there, and it will take you to the discussion area where all the discussions for the whole semester are listed. So here's a sampling of some of those discussions. You see here I have replied to somebody who might have some lab questions, technical issues, just content issues, struggling with a topic, or just where you guys want to chit chat about some problems or content that you might be learning. And this is a quick overview. I'm just showing you that there are 5 modules and there are 2 discussions per module. I have them collapsed at this point, and that's why you don't see anything. But if you click on this down arrow here, you will see expand forum, and then you will see the different topics that we will be you will be posting to and that we will be looking over throughout the semester. And here's another place that you can access discussions. This is through content, through Module 1, discussions. When that opens, you can access the discussions through here also. It's just another place to access the same discussion content material. I wanted to go over when these discussions are due and kind of the terminology that goes with a discussion. We have an initial post and a response posts. The initial post is where you post your initial completed assignment, not when you claim something, because sometimes we want to claim. See, here's an initial and a response post. In this first discussion, using dimensional analysis to figure out the thickness of a full piece of foil, you will want to go into there before the initial post date and claim which piece of foil that you are going to analyze. Then you come in on the initial post date and post your initial completed assignment. So you'll notice Wednesday initial post, Wednesday initial post, completed initial post, not your claimed topic. The response posts are due on Saturdays. Initial posts completed are due on Wednesdays. So I come in on Wednesday or before and start seeing what people are claiming, seeing what they are posting. The response posts are then due to your other peers. Like you come in and you read through everybody else's stuff and you pick a couple people to read through a little bit more in depth and respond to them, ask them some questions, check their work. The goal is to help each other. So again, initial post due on Wednesday, response post due on Saturday, and then I will grade those 2 to 3 days past the closing date. Quizzes are in D2L, and we have reading quizzes, we have module quizzes, and we have midterm and final. The reading quizzes are low point value. You can tape them multiple times, and you use them kind of to study the content. So read, go and take your reading quiz, take it again until you feel like you've exhausted all the questions that are available. And then move on. The module quizzes, those are higher point value. They test your knowledge and understanding and have essay questions that I have to grade. I go back in and see how you did on those. And the midterm and final are proctored, and they also have essay portion questions that I will go in and look at. The quizzes are accessed through D2L, and they are right here, and you will see them listed as current and future. You can also access these quizzes in content within the individual module. This is a picture of what a quiz kind of looks like, a little reading quiz. And you notice the reading quizzes are only 5 questions, but you can take them multiple times. Sometimes you get the same question. And if you missed it on the previous round, you can try it again and see if you can understand where your misunderstanding was. Examity Proctoring proctors some of these quizzes. And it is a company that proctors the safety quiz, the midterm, and the final. In order to register for that, you want to go into Module 1. And Module 1 has Examity Profile and Setup. And this is the external tool that will take you to Examity itself. Now, when you go to Examity, you want to set up a profile, and that profile consists of you showing a picture ID of who you are. It's got to be completely clear, and you need to go back in and check and make sure it's clear. If it's not, when you go in and try to take a quiz or exam, the Examity proctor is going to not be able to clear you to take that exam because of the ID that you uploaded is not adequate. We will have 3 different quizzes, and you'll see one is the proctored Module 1 safety quiz. And the reason this is proctored is to get you used to using Examity. And then we have the midterm and the final. And there are certain dates that you can take those within, and you have to make an appointment 24 hours in advance for Examity to be able to schedule that. So go in there and try to figure that out as soon as possible so you know how to do that. For grades, you have a grading area where I will post grades. Reading quizzes are automatically posted. Discussions, I post 2 to 3 days after closing. And when you are graded on those discussions, you're graded on timeliness. Like if you posted your initial post on time and your response posts, whether you had the quality of your initial post, the timeliness of your what's called reaction posts. So if I go in, if you post something on the due date, and then I go in that evening or the next day and I post questions to you and comments, your reaction post should come in within 24 to 48 hours, kind of finishing up, you know, and even fixing anything in your post that I found in error, especially in calculational posts. The lab reports and projects, I will post grades to those 2 to 3 days after the due date, as well as the module quizzes, midterm, and final, because those have essay portions that must be checked by myself. This is what it would look like, your grading area, and you would see grades start to show up in here as they are inputted. The lab reports, I just want to go over what they look like quickly. Informal lab report consists of the exploration and the evaluation you downloaded from as a PDF from Hands-On Labs. And then there will be a Word document that has the tables you filled in during experimentation, any photos that were required, and the post-lab questions and sources. This is an area where in D2L that goes over what I just mentioned. And you can see the breadcrumb trail up here, they call that, where it's in syllabus lab information reports in this lab report writing guide. And it shows you the difference between an informal lab report and a formal lab report. A formal lab report is similar. You have your exploration and evaluation, but the Word document is a little bit more in depth. This is a template that is listed in your course content that shows you what should be in a lab report. You should have a notebook. You should have a purpose. Everything is typed except your notebook. This is handwritten. The experimental narrative is typed, and you should have photos embedded in there as you discuss your results with captions for photos. There should be a calculation and error section. If there are no calculations for that, then there's no calculations. But you should always have an error analysis where you kind of discuss your experiment, where you think things could have been improved, and any errors that you think could have been made, not necessarily by you, but how you could have adjusted that experiment to get more accurate results. You should have a discussion and conclusion section. You should have questions. There's exercise post questions that are listed with the tables for every experiment, and then you should cite any references or sources you use throughout the experiment, or to look up answers to your questions. This is also within that lab report area that I just showed you for the informal, and it lists the different areas. Cover page, images of your notebook, purpose. This is just what I just went over. Here is an example of a student who showed a lab notebook that I thought was well done. So you have a handwritten lab notebook, even some schematics. You have your picture of who you are, and you have this what's called an ID card. And this ID card is just handwritten student identification card. Notice this person put in 2. This is actual student identification and a handwritten card where you type your, you print your name and you sign it and you date it. To check the rubrics for these, you can go through and look at rubrics. The rubrics can be accessed through more tools area right up here in your course, and you can see the different rubrics. You can click on them and preview them. Here's a preview of an informal lab report rubric. The informal lab report rubric has what you should put in there, which is the cover page, the exploration from HOL, the evaluation from HOL, those data tables, and the exercise questions. These 2 portions are in a PDF. Remember, there's 2 documents, and then these portions are in a Word document. Of course, your cover page is the Word document. The authentication photos are the ones that you take throughout there. That shows that you actually did the work. Again, for rubrics, the formal lab report is a little bit more formal in that you have your notebook, purpose typed, experimental narrative with embedded photos. Second portion of that is calculations, discussion and conclusion, and how, now this portion here where you get points based upon your understanding of concepts, that is in questions. That's kind of an area where instructors might gauge your understanding of the material. So even though you included all these other things, this area down here can give you an idea of how well the instructor thought that you understood the content that was being covered. And then the sourcing of data is your references and sources. And check out how you should be citing them. You should be citing them with this APA citation or hyperlinking things. As long as, I always say, if I can go find the source that you used, I'm okay with that. Rubrics, again, are still here. We have project rubric. This project rubric is different than the others in that it's kind of a shortened version, and really what you have in here is your, whether you formatted the document correctly, you use subscripts and superscripts for all chemical formulas, and if you reasoned and analyzed it. These projects that we have, there's 5 projects, and those 5 projects will be using this rubric. And if you had calculations and how they were formatted, there's that understanding of concepts again and any sources that you used.